Hello guys, and today we will be reading Captain Underpants. And the title is right here, right on the screen as you can see. Now we're going to go right into the book. In our last 3 adventures, we tried to save our crazy principal from the disaster. He thought he was a real superhero, but he wasn't. We didn't think things could get any worse, but they did. The top secret truth about Captain Underpants all knew. Once upon a time, there were 2 cool kids named George and Harold. We're awesome, me too. They had an old mean principal named Mr. Krupp, blah blah blah. Mr. Krupp was very mean to George and Harold, blah blah blah. So they bought the 3D hypno ring. They used it on Mrs. Krupp to hypnotize him. You will obey us. Okie dokie. But they made a terrible mistake. You're now Captain Underpants. Okay, ha ha. Hey, come back here, Mr. Krupp. As Mr. Krupp jumps out the window. Tra-la-la. Mr. Krupp thought he was Captain Underpants. ... But he didn't have any superpowers. Stop, you big dummy. They had a lot of adventures. One time they even got attacked by a UFO. Uh-oh. They all got took into the spaceship and George stole some alien superpower juice. Then Mr. Crook got eaten by a big evil dandelion. You had to be there. So George and Harold gave him superpower juice. Then he got superpowers. Now Captain Underpants has amazing strengths. He can even fly too. Holy cow. The only way George and Harold can stop Captain Underpants from causing trouble is by pouring water onto his head. This makes him turn back into Mr. Krupp. Hey, bub. But beware, because whenever Mr. Krupp hears someone snap their fingers, he turns back into you-know-who. Oh no. Here we go again. Tra-la-la. The end. Treehouse Comic Inc. Chapter 1. George and Harold. This is George Beard and Harold Hutchings. George is the kid on the left with the tie and flat top. Harold is the one on the right with a t-shirt and a bad haircut. Remember that now. J. Moore Oswald Elementary. Don't underestimate our good teachers. All of the students experts at the elementary school had their opinions about George and Harold. The guidance counselor, Mr. Reacted, thought the boys suffered from ADD. The school pathologist named Miss Labber diagnosed them with ADHD, and their mean old principal, Mr. Crook, thought they were just plain old bad. BAD. But if you ask me, George and Harold simply suffer from IBSS, incredibly boring school syndrome. You see, George and Harold weren't really bad kids. They were actually very bright, good, natural boys. Their only problem was that they were bored in school, so they took it upon themselves to liven things up for everybody. Wasn't that thoughtful of them? George and Harold switching up the sign on our teachers. Don't underestimate our good teachers. And they switched it to our teachers don't use deodorant. Unfortunately, George and Harold's thoughtfulness got them into trouble. every now and then, sometimes it got them into a lot of trouble. And one time, it got him into so much trouble, it almost caused the entire planet to be taken over by a ruthless, mechanical mad scientist guy in a giant robot suit. But before I can tell you that story, I have to tell you this story. Chapter 2. All Hail New Switzerland. As everybody knows, New Switzerland is a small country just southeast of New Switzerland's natural resources and systems of government. But here's something about New Switzerland that I'll bet you didn't know. Everybody in New Switzerland has a silly name, just ask their president, the Honorable Chunkles Jingleberry McMonkey Booger Jr., or his lovely wife, Stinky. They'll tell you all about New Switzerland's proud silly name, Persian. They'll tell you about the cultural significance of their silly names. And then they will probably tell you a really long, boring story how this stupid tradition got started. We skipped that part, okay? Just remember that everybody in New Switzerland has a silly name, from the richest to the poorest to the dumbest to the smartest. And speaking of the smartest, let me introduce you to Professor Pippi P. Poopypants. That is the statue of him down there on the bottom right hand corner of the page. Now, Pippi P. Poopypants was probably the smartest person in all of the New Switzerland. He graduated from the head of his class at Chunky Q Boogernose University, and afterwards spent all of his time creating wild and fantastic inventions. Let's look at them. Let's look in on him, shall we? Picture: New Switzerland Hall of Fame. Hello, Chunkles. Hello, Stinky. Very right, it says Jiggle T Chunky Stucks, and then Tipper Q Zipper Dripper, and then Havana Gata D Bathroom, and then the smartest of all, Professor Pippi P. Poopypants. Back in his private laboratory, Professor Pippi P. Poopypants was just putting his finished touches on his wonderful new inventions. The Shrinky Pig 2000 and the Goosey Grow 4000. Professor Poopypants called for his assistant, Pork Belly Funky Stunk. Mr. Funky Stunk, Pippi yelled, I am now ready to test my new inventions. Pork Belly took notes while the professor aimed his Shrinking Pig 2000 at the hideous pile of trash. Blizzard! A powerful beam of energy blasted the garbage heap. Suddenly, a large pile of trash shrank into a size of a gumball. Hooray! It works! Cried Professor Poopypants. Now I must try Goosey Grow 4000. Pippi and Pork Belly aimed the Goosey Grow 4000 at an ordinary hot dog with mustard. Blizzard! What another bright beam of energy. Suddenly the hot dog grew and grew until it crashed through the walls of the laboratory. We did it! Exclaimed Pork Belly. What do you mean, we? Yelled Professor Poopypants. I did it. I'm the genius. You're just a loudly assistant and you don't forget it. Sorry, boss, said Pork Belly. If these two inventions, exclaimed Professor Poopypants, I'll be able to solve the world's garbage problem and create enough food for everyone on the entire planet. Finally, it looked as if all the Earth's Diminuous would be fixed forever, but who would have believed that in just a few short weeks, Professor Poopypants will be trying to take over the whole planet in a fit of ferocious rage. Well, dear readers, the tragic tale is about to unfold, but before I can tell you that story, I can tell you this story. Chapter 3, The Field Trip. The elementary school was having its big annual field trip to Pizza Palace. All of the kids had brought their permission slips and were lined up to get on the bus. George and Harold could hardly wait to eat pizza and play video games all afternoon. This is gonna rule, said George. Yeah, if we ever get there, said Harold. Hey, said George, let's change the letters around that school sign while we're waiting. Good idea, said Harold. Meanwhile, Mr. Crook was peeking out of the bushes beside the sign that says Jamore Hawthorne Elementary. Pizza Palace field trips are today. So George and Harold ran over to the sign and began their thoughtfulness. Unfortunately, the boys didn't notice a dark, forbidding creature lurking nearby in the bushes. Aha! Cried Mr. Crook. I caught you boys red-handed. Uh-oh, George. Heh, laughed Harold. So this is just a little joke. A joke! Yelled Mr. Crook. Do you boys think that's funny? George and Harold thought for a moment. Well, yeah, said George. Don't you? asked Harold. No, I don't think this is funny, yelled Mr. Crook. I think it's rude and offensive. That's why it's funny, said George. They changed the sign to Jamore Hogwarts Elementary. Please don't fart in a diaper. Oh, said Mr. Crook. You boys like to laugh, huh? Well, here's a good one. You two boys are officially banned from the school field trip. Instead of eating pizza, you will spend the afternoon cleaning up the teacher's luggage. Isn't that funny? No way, said Harold. That's not funny at all. That's cruel, unusual punish. That's why it's funny, said Mr. Crook snarled. Chapter 4, Left Behind. Mr. Crook marched George and Harold over to the janitor's closet. You can use these supplies to clean up the teacher's luggage, said Mr. Crook. I want it spotless by the time we get back. Mr. Crook went back outside and climbed into the school bus and laughed loudly. The bus pulled away. All the teachers, all pointed at George and Harold, laughed too. Rats! And Harold, I thought we were going to have fun today. George and Harold, unhappily, we can still have fun, said George. All we need is this ladder, that bag of powder paste, and those big boxes of styrofoam warming thingies. So George and Harold carried their supplies to the teacher's luggage and got down to business. In the background there's a sign that says Purple Dragon Sing Along Friends. Go team. Meanwhile, George Ward and Harold carrying the ladder of foam packaging pellets, aka big boxes of styrofoam warming thingies, and powder paste. Let's see what happens next. At the sink, George pulled the sprayer nozzle while Harold carefully taped the sprayer handle on the on position. Then the two boys put the nozzle back, making sure the sprayer was pointed in the right direction. Next, Harold held the ladder steady. Next, George held up the ladder steady, while Harold climbed up to the ceiling fan and began scooping generous amounts of powder paste onto the tops of fan blades. Is this right? asked Harold. Yeah, said George. Try to get it most on the ends of the blades. Got it, said Harold. George closed all of the blinds while Harold adjusted the ceiling fan so it would turn on when the lights came on. Finally, the The boys